Aloha, everyone, and thank you. I'm Jake Shimabukuro, and welcome to an AARP virtual concert in honor of AAPI Heritage Month. We're glad you could be here. You know, there are connections between music and health, and music is a powerful way to stimulate the brain. So let's add a little more music to our lives today in the spirit of good health. Ah, woo! All right. That was a song that was inspired by one of my favorite TV shows growing up in Hawaii. I call that one Ukulele Five-O. This next song is another song that was inspired by three numbers, 1, 4, 3. And those were I remember back in the day, that was a numeric pager code for I love you. So, you know, this was before cell phones and smartphones and text messaging, right? I remember when I was in high school, everyone carried pagers. And if you were dating someone, you would page them and you would put your phone number in there. And then at the end, you would put the numbers 1, 4, 3, which meant I love you. And that was kind of the romantic thing to do back then, and a cheap alternative to buying flowers or jewelry. So anyways, here's a song called 1, 4, 3. Thank you. Song called 143, numeric pager code for I Love You. Thank you. You know, I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii, and both of my parents loved music, you know, so they had they had hundreds of records, you know, huge collection of vinyl recordings. So I remember as a kid, you know, I remember just kind of looking through the albums and pulling them out and reading the back of the records. And there was a guitar player that I would listen to, and actually his name was Carlos Montoya. He was the great, you know, flamenco guitarist, and I would listen to his albums, and I remember hearing all this great percussion playing. I'd hear someone strumming the guitar. I'd hear someone picking the guitar. So I always thought Carlos Montoya was a three-piece band. You know, I didn't know it was just one guy on the guitar. So, you know, when I discovered that, it completely changed the way that I listened to those records. And this next song was inspired by some of his early recordings. It's an original piece called Let's Dance. this year, recent events have led us to take a stronger stance against the targeting of our Asian and Asian American communities across the nation. AARP is providing a wonderful platform for key AAPI organizations advocating in the areas of policy and planning to racial equity and communications to bring visibility to their work and how to support our elders in addressing these issues and providing resources. So visit aarp.org/AAPI to learn more about AARP's work in the AAPI community. I thought I'd do something that was inspired by my favorite restaurant as a kid growing up in Honolulu, on Oahu, and it was a restaurant. They closed down years ago, but it was the only restaurant in Hawaii that had a real monkey bar. So as a kid, I just loved going there. Whenever I would, kind of maybe bring home a good report card, which maybe was once in my lifetime, I think, but my parents would take us to this really good restaurant. It was called Pearl City Tavern, and I think most people who live in Hawaii remember that restaurant, Pearl City Tavern, and we would go there. They had, the food was really good, one of my favorite things about going to Pearl City Tavern, besides watching the monkeys, was ordering a Shirley Temple. It came with the umbrella and the cherry and all that, so I just felt like an adult, ordering that and sipping that as a kid. And I would collect all the umbrellas and bring them home. But I don't know, it was just such a fond memory for me. And I wrote a song about it. It's a song I call Me and Shirley T. And it's really about kind of a song that, I don't know, just being very happy, it's a very joyous occasion, but probably it was just all that massive intake of sugar from the Shirley Temples that made me really hyper and excited. But it was funny because it wasn't until I think like a little while, afterwards when I got older that I realized that Shirley Temple was a real person. And Shirley Temple actually lived in Hawaii too. She had a house in Hawaii. So this is called Me and Shirley T. right, me and Shirley T. Woo! Okay. I'm gonna slow things down a little bit now, and this is a song that was inspired by a friend of mine, whose grandmother, she was in the hospital, and she would have hallucinations of these blue roses on the ceiling above her bed. And every time she would tell us a story, it was, I don't know, she would just have this, she would just be so at peace, and it was so inspiring. And it later inspired this piece called Blue Roses Falling. And it's just, this song just kind of expresses, I guess, kind of what I felt, she felt or saw, during those times when she'd be lying in bed with the rose petals on the ceiling, and she told us they would fall on top of her. And so, hope you enjoy this. Here we go. Blue Roses Falling. Thank you very much. A song called Blue Roses Falling. You know, I started playing the ukulele at the age of 4, and my mom played, so she was my first teacher. You know, she would sit me down and teach me some basic chords, and I just fell in love with this instrument. The nice thing about the ukulele, especially for kids, is, you know, you can play full chords with just one finger, you know, so she'd teach me these songs, like just, you know, where I just have to play one chord, and I mean, just use one finger. And so I just fell in love with it. You know, I played it all the time. In fact, my parents would have to take the ukulele away from me so that I would do my homework, or, you know, eat my dinner or go to bed. And that's how much I loved it. I loved playing. So, but, you know, so I always loved the ukulele, but I also loved the piano. And when I was a kid, I remember my cousin, you know, who would play the piano a lot, and I would watch her play, and I just loved how the left hand and the right hand would just kind of work together. And it's almost like a dance, you know, the way that they just work together to create all this beautiful music. And so later I was inspired to write a piece for 2 ukuleles. And one ukulele part was supposed to represent the left hand of the piano player, and the other ukulele part, the right hand. So I'm gonna play this piece for you. It's called Pianoforte, which was the original name of the piano. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna record the left hand part. I'm gonna play it and record it, and then I'm gonna play it back, and then I'm gonna play the right hand part over that. So here's the left hand part of Pianoforte. Thank you, Pianoforte. Right. This little recording device came in handy over the last year and a half now. You know, being stuck at home, at least I felt like I had something to play with, you know, when I would practice. I'd like to do another one of my favorites, and this is it's a classical piece written by the great Franz Schubert. And it's one of the most, I don't know, for me, it's just one of the most beautiful melodies I think ever written. And well, I mean, there's a lot of great melodies out there, but this one for me has always been one of my favorites. So I'd like to share this with you. Here's my interpretation of Franz Schubert's Ave Maria. Thank you. Well, in recognition of AAPI Heritage Month, I'd like to play a song that was inspired by one of my heroes growing up. And this was one of my favorite martial arts films, I mean, of all time. It was a movie called Enter the Dragon. And as a kid, Bruce Lee, I thought was the coolest. He was such a pioneer, and so much of how I approached the ukulele, really came from his philosophy. Because I remember watching interviews of him, and he always thought about, he would say things like, he loved how there were all these different styles of martial arts, right? But he would take all these different styles and just kind of make it his own thing. And I realized that, so it was kind of like the start of, mixed martial arts, right? But so I remember as a kid thinking about music in that same way, so you have all these different genres of music, and that's all like different styles of martial arts. So I thought, what if you could just, just embrace it all and just, and use it, use all of those different ideas and things to express, who you are. And that's what Bruce Lee did. So he inspired this song called, that I call Dragon, because it was based off of his movie Enter the Dragon. And it goes something like this. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you to AARP for putting this together. Stay on to learn more about AARP. Have a good night. Stay safe. Aloha.